those of you that are new, I am TC, and this is the MBRR podcast, Minnesota Black Robe Regiment podcast. And I'm here to talk to you about Hunter Biden's conviction. But before we do all of that, let me get some of my own personal grifting out of the way, if you will, since I really like to talk about all the grifting that's going on in our society today by all of the people in politics, apparently, especially, well, not all, but the people within the GOP and the Democrat Party. But yeah, welcome to another Drive Time Dialectic. And while you're here, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure that you hit the subscription button if you haven't yet, then get that little bell icon and get those notifications rolling in, because I keep hearing from people that you're not getting notifications, and I can only imagine that part of the problem with that is that everybody who's here? Oh, hey, Jugglasses, thanks for tuning in. Share it out if you would, my friend. It's good to see you. Gotta take care of something for you, by the way. Add as moderator. Standard moderator for now, but there you go. Hey, Chris, thanks for stopping in. You didn't miss anything. I just got started. But as I was saying, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscription button if you haven't done so yet, and then go to the little bell icon, hit the notifications for my content, because I'm just on fire lately. And so I'm going to get my grifting out of the way while we wait for a few people to pop in. And while I'm at my grifting best, go on over to the membership options. As you can see, we got Jugglasses, who is also a moderator as well as a member of the channel right now. You can pick a membership level, and that'll toss a few bucks my way every month and help me keep things going. Helps me keep everything rolling. And about Hunter Biden being convicted, and one of the reasons why this is incredibly important, and I know this is content that once again is not in the wheelhouse of everybody who is subscribed to the channel now. A lot of you came over to my channel because of Flex Your Freedoms. A lot of you came over because of the Angry Vet. And I know a ton of you just love the auditing stuff, and I am working on some more auditing things. But auditing isn't my primary focus. I do a lot of socio-political, philosophical commentary as it relates to the state. And one of these days I'll do a breakdown for you about why I say the state over government. If you have any questions about it in the interim, feel free to send me an email, mbrrpodcast@yahoo.com, and we can certainly have that conversation. But I will be doing a breakdown of my reason for saying the state versus government. But so a lot of my content is focused on government or state overreach, which I think falls well within observational First Amendment auditor work, right? What do we see over and over and over again with First Amendment auditors? They are constantly experiencing the overreach of a tyrannical state, whether that state be the municipal level, the county level, the state level, or even the federal level. And like TAV, the Angry Vet, is a perfect example of what happens when you get it on multiple levels. You get local police, you get county sheriff's offices, and federal charges. So what we are dealing with, especially with my channel, is just a constant refrain of how the state at all of her levels is constantly infringing upon our natural rights. Many of you would refer to it as, should we say, constitutional rights or our Bill of Rights. Now, if you're not used to that language, if you're not used to me saying our natural rights and then drawing a distinction between constitutional rights or our Bill of Rights, I understand that. But what you have to understand is that for many years, many of us have been taught that the Bill of Rights grants us certain rights, even though we know our forefathers didn't see it that way. They didn't understand it that way. What they understood was that we have these natural rights, and then they delineated those natural rights in the Bill of Rights and drew a distinction in the Constitution about what natural rights were, why they were possessed by the people, and why there were restrictions placed on government, on public servants, on the bureaucratic sector of the world. And that's why this is an incredibly important conversation, not just for First Amendment auditors or First Amendment observers or public servant observers, whatever terminology you want to go by. It's also an incredibly important conversation for us to be having as it relates to the totality of what we see in the Bill of Rights. And right now, I'm watching a lot of people who were a week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks ago now, bent out of shape that Trump was convicted on 34 felony charges in New York. And I agree 100%. I agree 100% that what happened to Donald Trump is political persecution. You will never see me say anything other than it was political persecution. But you will also see me say that Donald Trump brought a lot of it on himself just because of his behavior. Now, there again, it's still political persecution, and it was wrong. But the people who are the maddest about what happened to Donald Trump are elated that Hunter Biden was convicted and should be going to prison. Now, we all know Hunter Biden's not going to do a day in prison. When your daddy's the president of the United States and you've been convicted on federal charges, you know, like, they prosecuted Hunter Biden knowing that if he got convicted, daddy was going to step in and let him go. We knew that. Like, the prosecutors knew that. The DOJ knew that. Come on, let's be honest. And there's something to be said for the reality that they're doing this to say, look, we're not just going after Donald Trump, we'll go after Hunter Biden too. I mean, and that's the big man's kid. Like, we're not biased. We prosecute everybody equally. So there's something to be said for that, okay? Now, that aside, we need to talk about why Hunter Biden was convicted and whether or not in our gut, and deep down inside, whether you call it your spirit, your soul, your gut reactions, you know, the baser side of your humanity, whatever it might be, you may want to celebrate and go, good, stick it to him. I can't stand that guy. He's a sleazeball, and the Bidens have been getting away with, you know, all sorts of crap ever since Corn Pop. And he is a sleazeball. Like, no arguments. I mean, the guy's a sleazeball. But does that make it okay for him to be convicted on firearms charges? And not just regular firearms charges. Does that make it okay for him to fill out a federal form, lie on that federal form about being a drug addict and being a prohibited person? Does that make it okay for him to be convicted? I want you guys, if you think it's okay for him to be convicted, put a 1 in the chat. And be honest. I'm not going to yell at you. You're my friends. You're my act localist community if you're in the members channel. Members part of the channel. And even if you're and there's Alpha Carol, there's a 0. Yeah, 0. No, there's no reason for him to be convicted. And somebody said, guys, I can't read your chats. They're hard, and the only way I can really see much is if somebody super chats. But and there again, if you don't want to join the membership side, throw me a super chat or a super sticker or a super thank you. I appreciate all of that too. I want you guys to know that. But all of our dislike of Hunter Biden aside, and the guy is a sleazeball, he should not have been convicted. He should not have been convicted. Why? Because he should have never been charged. Now, you could say, well, the law is the law, and we are a country of law and order, and there's going to be a commentary coming out about law and order pretty soon. I got a lot of stuff in the works, my friends, so just bear with me. But there's a lot to be said about law and order, right? A lot. As a paleo-conservative, paleo-libertarian, I have a very different view than your normative conservative or Republicans, and I darn sure have a different view than your leftists. And make no mistake, leftists love laws too, right? Leftists love laws. They love the cops. They love law enforcement. Conservatives and leftists all love law enforcement. It's just their love for them is different in how they want to utilize law enforcement and who they want to utilize it against. Leftists want to use it against anybody who doesn't toe the leftist line. Conservatives or rightists want to use law enforcement against anyone who doesn't toe their line. That's just the way it is. But the questions we have to ask ourselves in these situations are, one, what is the natural right of man in this situation? And the natural right of man is the ability to keep and bear arms for self-defense, for preservation of their own life, if you want to use that, to put food on their own table. If anybody wonders if I'm serious about that, I am. I'm 100% serious. I believe it should be perfectly legal for you to step outside of your front door and shoot a deer or a rabbit or a squirrel without a license to put food in a pot for your family or just for yourself or for your neighbor. I absolutely 100% believe there should be no such thing as the DNR or game wardens or department, Fish and Wildlife or any of that. And I don't believe you should have to pay a permitting fee, permission. You have to pay permission to take a firearm or anything else out to go and hunt an animal. So that's because I believe you have a natural right to harm from those who would seek to take from you. The right to keep and bear arms is foundationally and fundamentally this natural right that says no one can take that away because it's possessed by you. You are, if you want to use the language of our founding fathers, endowed by your creator with certain inalienable rights. You are. Life, liberty, and the pursuitness. And the way that you do those things is, one, the ability to, First Amendment auditors here, seek a redress of grievances from your government, to express your religious perspectives, your philosophical and political perspectives, to associate with who you want to associate with freely without any fear of repercussion from the state, and the ability to defend yourself not only from the person breaking into your house, but a person attempting to take from you your property, that which is rightly yours, which no one can take from you, not even the state, and then also to defend yourself from the state when the state becomes tyrannical and overbearing. This was in the minds of the founding fathers as they wrote the Constitution, as they wrote the Declaration of Independence, as they wrote the Articles of Confederation, and then wrote the Constitution, and then wrote the Bill of Rights. This was unquestionably their perspective. Because they told us, you don't want a standing army. You do not want a standing army. You do not allow that to happen. And why would they say that? Because they saw what happened with Britain's standing army. They saw what it was like to go to battle with Great Britain and her standing army. Somebody says, I agree in principle in regards to individuals, but I disagree when it comes to commercial ventures. I I don't know if that's directed at me, Crystal, but anyway. So here we have Hunter Biden, who everybody despises. Like, I guarantee you, Hunter Biden's own family despises him, right? And you guys want to know something? This is how much I love you, by the way. I'm on my least favorite road again. This is what I do for you, folks. I drive down my least favorite road because of how much I love and adore all of you. Some of you no less than others. Notice I didn't say some of you more than others. I just said some of you no less than others. I even love and adore my hate watchers, because they're the ones that tend to come back and rewatch and drive me up in the algorithm. So thank you guys for being here. I shouldn't tell them my secret, should I? But anyway, so here we have Hunter Biden, who's roundly despised by so many people. And hey, AVA, thanks for stopping in. Everybody, thanks for stopping in. So you have Hunter Biden, who's widely despised by so many people, and now he's been convicted, and he's looking at prison time, which, by the way, we know is not going to happen, right? We know he's never going to prison. He's not going to get any probation time. He's not going to end up on house arrest. All of that, yada, yada, yada. We just know none of that's going to happen because he's Hunter Biden, and Daddy will take care of him. But the question is, ultimately, was it an infringement upon all of our natural rights? All of our natural rights, not just all of us as a totality of people, but as a totality of people, were all of our the totality of our natural rights were those all infringed upon when they charged Hunter Biden. Wow, you know it all. Lay off the coffee. Well, I'll have you know that this is water, and I haven't had any coffee since like 6:45 my time. It might have been a little later, but anyway. No, I don't know it all. But if you would like to come on a stream with me sometime to show me how I'm wrong, H Beach, show me how I'm wrong. I will give you a Monday night stream to come on my show and sit down and have a conversation with me and show me where I'm wrong. And every single one of the people who watches me on a regular basis knows that I make this offer to everyone, and not one person will ever do it. And they will always come on or come back when I make the offer and say something: you're not worth my time. I don't deal with morons. I don't deal with stupid people. I don't deal with psychos. Yeah, or they make stupid ad hominem type comments like this. So yeah, H Beach, I'm not going to tell anybody to kick you out or silence you, but you're more than welcome to reach out to me, mbrrpodcast@yahoo.com, and we'll schedule a time for you to come on and you can show me how I'm wrong. I would love for you to take that challenge. We know it won't happen. Oh, AVA, I appreciate you doing that, but whatever, let him speak. But anyway, Hunter had his, this is the fun of doing live streams, guys. This is why we do this, right? It's to get sidetracked down these rabbit holes by people like H Beach. So Hunter has his natural rights infringed, which then infringes on all of our natural rights. It takes away from all of us when one of us has something that should be cherished by all of us away from them. So in this case, Hunter Biden's been told, you're a prohibited person, you can't have a firearm, because of X, Y, and Z. Now let's go with this idea. Convicted felons, right? Convicted felons, automatically, in every state of the union that I could think of, and if somebody could think of a state where this doesn't happen, every single convicted felon loses their right to keep and bear arms, according to federal law and state law. Now, our initial gut reaction is to say, well, if it was a violent crime, well, no, it's felonies. Any felonies that you commit. you can lose your right to keep and bear arms. And you have to fight like hell to get them reinstated. So then that leaves us with this question. If you're a prohibited person because you have a felony conviction, be it for a violent crime or a white-collar crime with no violence, or even a blue-collar crime with no violence, and you can lose that permanently, is that then indicative of a natural right that cannot be taken away from you? Or is that indicative of the state gets to determine who can and cannot? I would tell you that we've become accustomed to the subservient state of our lives, where we believe that just because a law's been passed and Congress has voted on it and the president has signed it into law and the courts haven't overturned it on a challenge, therefore it must be valid. Would this be a good example of rules for thee but not for me, asking for a friend? I guess in what situation, as far as the firearms ownership after a felony conviction? I dislike mandatory sentencing, including loss of rights after your sentence is served. Yeah, thank you very much, El Vicaro. Chad says, I agree with the natural rights, but the state operates in corporate system, and assume you are part of that and then bind you to the corporate. Yeah, right, exactly. And Chad knows this. I am working on bringing him on here in June for one of my Monday night musings, but all of a sudden I've been getting some attention, and I'm trying to get Chad scheduled in, and I've got some other people and I'm working with their schedules. So Chad, you're still in the books to come on. I just haven't set a date yet, and I just expect you to drop whatever you're doing and just be there for me. Chad has some very interesting ideas and thoughts on corporatization of the United States Republic. So a person is convicted, they do their time, and then they have to get out and they have to fight to get their rights restored. Well, that's not a right then. That's just more permission. That's just absolutely more permission. And that's what they're getting so many people on. But here we have Hunter Biden. Everybody despises him. Now he's been convicted, and all of the MAGA people and all of the normie cons out there and a ton of other Republicans are all out there applauding. Look, we got him. We got the sleazeball. Well, first of all, like I said, no, we didn't get the sleazeball. This was a setup, and people are falling for it. 2, it's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong if it happens to your next door neighbor who you absolutely think is the best thing since sliced white bread. And it's wrong when it happens to the guy you don't know, and it's wrong when it happens to, Carbon Mike. If you guys don't know who Carbon Mike is, it's wrong when it happens to Carbon Mike in New York City, and it's wrong when it happens to Hunter Biden. And it's not just wrong because it's this individual person, and it's not just wrong just because it affects all of us. It's wrong because it's a violation of nature. And we have to understand that, folks. It is an absolute violation of nature. I don't care if you believe in the Christian God. I don't care if you believe in the deist God. I don't care if you have some amorphous Judeo-Christian ideals. I don't care if you're a Buddhist, Taoist, Shintoist. I don't care if you're a Satanist. I don't care if you're an atheist, an agnostic, a Gnostic. I don't care what your perspective is. It is a violation of nature's laws. Therefore, it's a violation of nature. And when you violate nature, you're asking for trouble. And when you start to violate nature, you bring an imbalance. And when that imbalance happens, you get to a tipping point. And when you get to that tipping point, bad things happen. And so many people are blinded by their binary hatred. And when I say binary hatred, what I'm talking about is we hate one side of the coin and we love the other. It's a very one-sided perspective. My side is good, and anything bad that happens to my side is bad. But the other side is bad, and anything bad that happens to the bad side is good. And day in and day out, what you see in the uniparty duopoly is them playing us for suckers. And there's a ton of you that are awakened, not woke. There's a ton of you that are awakened. And in being awakened, you're starting to say, look, I'm not going to play this uniparty duopoly game anymore. But the totality of this is we have to realize that there are a bunch of people out there who are not awakened. They're still very much binary in their thought. Democrats good, Republicans bad. Republicans good, Democrats bad. And anybody that they see aligned with whatever is bad, therefore is bad, and they deserve whatever bad thing happens to them. And I know I'm looking around, you guys. I pay attention to traffic, by the way. I normally have this really long stretch, and right now I'm that near close to being home. So I'm having to pay a little bit more attention to traffic because you guys don't want to see me die on live stream. That would be terrible, wouldn't it? So when I see people celebrate Hunter Biden getting convicted, what they're actually ultimately celebrating is that power will eventually be used against them. But they don't care because they're caught in this cognitive dissonance. They're caught in a blindness that says these things don't matter to me. All that matters is getting the other side. We've got to get them. And that's why they vote for people that they know have authoritarian tendencies. The left votes for people with authoritarian tendencies. The right votes for people with authoritarian tendencies. It's just two different types of authoritarianism. We got Dean in here saying, is it Dean? No, Dan, sorry. It's really small on my phone. We got Dan in here saying, Republicans for the rule of law. No, they're not, Dan. Republicans despise the Constitution. We see it every day. We see it every day. And in one of the greatest places where we've seen Republicans in despising the Constitution is their celebration of the conviction of Hunter Biden. I don't care if Hunter Biden had 45 felonies. If he got out and he did his time, he has every right in the world to go out and buy a firearm. And he doesn't need permission from the federal state to do that. He shouldn't have to fill out any form. I want one person who's celebrating the conviction of Hunter Biden to tell me where in the natural rights of man, as it's delineated in the Bill of Rights, in the Second Amendment, I want one person to show me where it says you have the right to keep and bear arms, but only if you're not a drug user. And then if you won't be able to show me that, then I want you to show me where it says that you have to get permission from the state and prove that you're not a drug user. And then after that, I want you to show me where it says anything about alcohol use. Because far more people who are addicted to alcohol buy firearms from stores. And alcohol is a drug. It's a highly regulated drug. Well regulated. Found it. That doesn't... No. Okay. So then you say well regulated. And I don't know if that's sarcasm or not, but that is not what the founders meant by well regulated at all. That's not at all what they meant by well regulated. What they mean by well-regulated was your ability to use your firearms in an orderly way when the need arose. And AVA just brought up a really valid point. B. Smith, you're so wrong. You're so wrong on well-regulated, meaning that they could tell you who can and can't have a firearm. When what AVA just said is that if you get diagnosed with PTSD by the VA, they will take your guns from you. So the problem with allowing the state on any level to determine who gets to have a firearm based on their drug addiction, whether it be alcohol or heroin or methamphetamine, or based on your mental stability, any time a state entity steps in and says, oh, we're going to control who can have a firearm and whether or not you're a prohibited person. You guys got to see something while I'm talking. My illegal backyard chickens saw me pull in and they all rushed up high. But I can't. I'm talking to you guys. So anyway, yeah. When you allow the state to step in and say any kind of addiction, any kind of this, any kind of that, any kind of that, that'll eventually will lead to further and further infringement upon your natural right to keep and bear arms. And the problem with that is then they will legislate the hell out of it to the point where everybody has to have their firearms removed from them. Oh, you have medicinal marijuana. Oh, can't have a gun, and that's the case in Minnesota. Can't carry a gun in Minnesota if you use medicinal marijuana. But you can carry a gun if you drink. You just can't carry it on you when you're drinking. Well, you can't carry a gun at all in Minnesota if you use any kind of medicinal marijuana or marijuana at all, even though it's now legal in Minnesota. And that's the case in most states. If you've been committed for a mental health issue, even if you're not violent, you cannot have a firearm. You cannot have a permit to carry, and they will take your firearms. They could declare an ERPO, an extreme risk protection order, on you and remove your firearms from your home because somebody says you may or may not have a mental health condition. See, what happens, B. Smith, and everybody else out there who are celebrating the conviction of Hunter Biden, or for the people that hate the Second Amendment and think that it means the National Guard, which it was never meant to mean, is they will come up with ways to strip you of your firearms that are out of your control by declaring you an addict or mentally unstable, and they'll use everything from political philosophy to depression to seasonal affective disorder, whatever they need to do. Like, and here we got Dan in here. Like, Dan, I'm not defending Joe Biden, so I don't understand what your whole point on this is. I can't stand Joe Biden. I can't stand the man. But I'm not going to celebrate the conviction of his son because I don't like him. Do you not see the cognitive dissonance? Do you not understand the cognitive dissonance that has set in? This is what's wrong with small-minded people. Like teeny tiny brained little people. You're so binary. Joe Biden bad, Hunter Biden deserves to go to prison. Well, the same people that you're saying that about say that about Trump. Oh, Obama used missiles on. What's that got to do with this? And by the way, Dan, so did Trump. Trump ordered bombings by drone of the same types of things. So here we go. This is a perfect example. I'm pointing out who supports the Constitution. I'm pointing out who supports the Constitution. No, you don't. You don't support the people who support the Constitution. Because your president, Donald Trump, said Take the guns first, worry about due process later. Your president oversaw the bump stock ban. That's your president, remember? See, I don't like Biden and I don't like Trump. I'm consistent. Because Biden's a war criminal and Trump's a war criminal. Obama's a war criminal and so is Clinton and so is Bush. And they all hate the Constitution. The Republicans don't love the Constitution. The Republicans are out there passing laws limiting people's ability to film police. Does that sound like people who love the Constitution? And that's why my channel exists, is to point out this hypocrisy. It's to point out the absolute cognitive disconnect of small-minded, low-info, low-IQ people who cling so tightly to their damn political parties. And that's, for them, it's Democrats and Republicans. That's the only options. You cling so tightly to these damn parties that you can't see that the very thing that you hate the most in the other party, you support in your own party. And that's why I don't trust a single one of them. Hunter Biden is a bad guy. He's a terrible human being. But I am not going to celebrate when he has his rights trod upon, because what I understand about that is that it will eventually be used against me because I don't have the right political opinion. And here's the dangerous part for a guy like me. I don't like the Democrats and I don't like the Republicans. So, excuse the pun, metaphorically, they're all going to be gunning for people like me. And I want the ability, one, to speak out according to the First Amendment, which I'm allowed to do. And two, when they decide that you're no longer allowed to speak out, they're going to come for you. And the only way that you're going to be able to stop them is to rise up against them. And I don't advocate for that. I am an adherent to the non-aggression principle. But part of the non-aggression principle is when someone comes to do harm to you, you have the right to defend yourself. And both parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, say asinine things like, you're going to take on the government? We've got nukes. That should terrify every single one of you. What was all the gun talk about? Just because I'm a non-aggressionist, I hold to the non-aggression principle, doesn't mean I don't have guns. You clearly don't understand the non-aggression principle if you think that means you can't have firearms and use them for self-defense or defense of others. Like, if you're my neighbor and your wife is being raped, I'm going to call the cops, but in the process, I'm also going to go and get a firearm and I'm going to do violence to that person who's raping your wife. You no idea who you're talking to, B. Smith. None. I love leftists and I love right-wing weirdos who come in and they think they've got it all figured out. I'm a constitutional purist. I'm a natural rights adherent. I'm a natural rights absolutist. I think the roads need to be fixed before we start disarming the public. I don't want them to fix the roads. I want them to privatize the roads and leave my guns alone. I don't need to know who you are because your statements are damning you. If you want to come on sometime and show me where in the non-aggression principle it says I can't own firearms, I'll wait. Oh, Elva Carl, sometimes it's really hard to have a reasonable conversation with people. And I'm going to get ready to wrap this up, but I want people to understand that what you're celebrating, if you're a MAGA bot, a Trump bot, if you're a Republican or a normie con, if you're celebrating what they're doing to Hunter Biden, then right now you are celebrating your own demise. You're celebrating your own demise. If you're a person who is, oh, hey, Tav's here. Thank you, Tav, for showing up. I appreciate that. Folks, Tav is an amazing man. He's a perfect example of why we have the First and Second Amendment. And he's a great supporter of the channel. He's just got a lot of irons in the fire right now. He's dealing with his own legal case, and he's out there supporting auditors and other First Amendment activists. And like I said, he's a great supporter of the show, and I cannot thank him enough. He's one of the reasons I keep going, and one of the reasons I'm able to keep doing what I'm doing. Honestly, he has been a gift, and so I can't thank him enough. He makes me get emotional because he does things like he gives people freaking gift memberships, and I'm like, I'm not even. So if you hang out at the right times, Tav just like will surprise people with crap like gift memberships. And so if you're wanting a membership, just keep coming back to my streams and look for Tav. Eventually he'll do something. I just know how he is. He's a weirdo. I love him though. He's my weirdo. But yeah, if you guys haven't yet, head over to Tav's channel. And follow him and listen to his story. Go to AVA's channel. In fact, Tav, drop your link. AVA, drop your link. And anybody else, if you've got a channel that puts out content, drop your links, or let one of the moderators know. Plus, guns are worlds different than they were when that's such a tired argument, B. Smith. It's a terrible argument. An absolute. It's a logical fallacy. Two, nothing in the Bill of Rights is exactly the same as it was when our forefathers, the founding fathers of this nation, wrote it. None of them. The printing press, as it existed then, doesn't even exist anymore. So I guess the First Amendment's out the window because the printing press is out, gone now the way it used to exist. The Eighth Amendment is a thing of a relic that needs to just be done away with, right? But yeah, anyway, once again, everybody, head over to Tav's channel, head to AVA's channel. Thanks to the moderators for doing this. Tav, I cannot thank you enough for even popping in. I do what I do because I'm consistent. I don't do what I do because I'm trying to win friends and influence people. I do this because I'm consistent and I'm ethical in the sense of what I cling to. So if I piss off a left-winger, fine. If I piss off a right-winger, fine. If it gets you to think just a little bit. So Dan, they're perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Dan. That's amazing. I love what you just said. I believe in the constitutional republic. I don't like any gun control. Then Dan, please, before I go, and I got to go out and put some miles in tonight. I got to get back on my workout regimen. Dan, if you do not believe in gun control and you are a firm fan of the constitutional republic as we have it, tell me right now that what happened to Hunter Biden was wrong. Say it. While we're still live, tell me it was wrong. Tell me it was wrong. And I'm going to ask this for those that are watching. We got 17 people here. We were up to like 32 there for a while. For those that are still here, if anything that I've said, if you've listened to this whole thing and maybe you've been swayed or thought about this a little bit, 1 in the chat if what happened to Hunter was wrong, 2 in the chat if what happened to Hunter is just fine and you don't care if it happens to anybody else you disagree with. And put a 3 in the chat if you just wish I'd shut up about it. I already know what Smith is going to say. Look, yeah, there we go. We're getting a bunch of 1s because people, I think, are starting to understand. The reality in this is that he signed legal documents. He's being prosecuted for that, but he should have a right to carry. Like, okay, I'm not going to go. I appreciate your attempt to explain, but it's just wrong. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. It wouldn't have been an issue if his legal or his natural right to keep and bear arms hadn't been stripped from him because of fallacious government imposition in the first place. That's what I'm getting at. That's constitutional purism. That's natural rights absolutism. And I agree with you, Elva Caro. The flip side is that the White House opened the door on lawfare with Trump. The next few years could be a wild ride. 100% agree. 100% agree. The problem is I'm looking at this knowing there's a really good chance that we end up with Trump. We could end up with Biden. Either one of them is going to be a punishment on our nation. And I'm very, very scared that Trump is going to go overboard going after people. I mean that. So guys, I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. If you haven't, please go to AVA, Veterans Affairs Media. Check out his channel. Subscribe. Follow him. Let's get his subscription base way up there. Go over and subscribe to the Angry Vet. Get him some support. Tav, I love you too, man. You know that. I want you guys to understand that, like I said, I don't care who we upset. If what we do when we upset people makes them think, if we can just get that chink in the closed-mindedness, get that door to crack open a little bit, then maybe we can swing open the rest of the barriers to really start to get into the root and start to change this country, to change this nation and make it what it once was and what our founding fathers intended it to be. That's what matters to me. It's not hyperbole. I mean that. 1776%. %. So, my friends, go back after this processes, share it out, drop a comment, even if it's just, hey, I'm watching, even if you've already watched the live stream. Share this out on your social media platforms. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Hit the like button if you haven't. Hit the notification bell so you get notifications when my stuff comes out. Even my hate watchers, please keep coming back and watching. I love it when you guys watch and interact. It gives me something to talk about. And if you haven't done memberships yet, please head over, pick a membership level. And if you're one of the people in the past who's gotten a membership from a guy like Tav, reach out to him because it should give you a notification that he gave you a membership. So reach out to him and tell him thank you. And if you go to his channel and you haven't yet, please head over there and tell him TC from MBRR Pod sent you. And so, my friends, until next time, fight for your freedom, it is yours. Fight for your liberty, it belongs to you. Love you guys. Sic Semper Tyrannis.